Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Decaturish.com District 4 candidate debate. My name is Dan Wisenhunt, editor and publisher of Decaturish, and I am also a resident of District 4. Our candidates today are, and if you could just say hello whenever I call your name, Shakira Johnson,
Hello, how is everybody?
doing good, Gabrielle Rogers,
Good evening, everyone.
Lance Hammonds,
Good evening, everyone.
and Rita Scott.
Good evening. Welcome.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Those of you watching us online, thank you for joining us there as well. This is the Decaturish.com District 4 Candidate Forum. We're going to give each candidate 2 minutes to give an opening and a closing statement, and we're going to give each candidate 2 minutes to answer each question. I'm going to be keeping time on my end, and the candidates and I have worked on that in advance. We're going to try to alternate who answers what question first. If you appreciate, first of all, that we're giving you this opportunity to hear from these candidates, please do us a favor. Go to the supportyourlocalnews.com website that goes to our support page. You can make a contribution to our election fundraiser, or you can become a subscriber. Either way, it's a great way to help us cover this election. The primary election, by the way, is May 21st, and early voting is April 29th, so we hope you will go vote. And DecaturishVotes.com is the place you can get all of our election news and coverage. So with that preamble out of the way, let's get started. And we're actually going to start off with Shakira Johnson. Shakira, you're going to have 2 minutes to make your opening statement.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us and putting this forum on. It is a great opportunity to reach the voters. As was stated, good evening, everyone. I am Shakira Johnson. I am running to be the next District 4 County Commissioner. I've lived in DeKalb County for over 20 years. In that time, was on Stone Mountain City Council for 16 years. Of those 16 years, I was Mayor Pro Tem for 12. I was also a board member for the Downtown Development Authority for over a decade. Um, my years on Stone Mountain City Council has provided me with the experience and the knowledge to know how to govern, how to approve a balanced budget, and how to make decisions to benefit the community. In my role as a council member, I learned how to listen to the voices of the community and work with the administration to find solutions. By day, I am a professional civil engineer. I received my bachelor's degree in engineering from Georgia Tech, and I became a registered professional engineer in 2006. I have worked in the private sector where I design residential subdivisions, industrial, commercial projects. I've had military contracts, water and sewer rehabilitation projects. Currently, I work for the city of South Fulton, which puts me in the public sector, so I'm also a government employee. In this capacity, I am responsible for ensuring development projects are permitted and constructed within the rules and regulations of the city. I respond to citizens' issues in regard to stormwater and erosion control on their properties. I am running because I know my leadership skills in as a former council person and my experience in engineering, together with the support of the citizens of DeKalb County, I know that we can engineer progress for DeKalb. This progress includes
Thank you.
supporting.
Thank you. I'm sorry, that was
Okay,
2 minutes. Thank you. We have to be fair
okay,
to
thank you.
to other candidates.
No
Gabrielle
problem.
Rogers, you will have 2 minutes to make your opening statement.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, good evening to the Decaturish and community. I am Gabrielle Rogers, wife of United States postal worker, um, parent advocate, experienced business professional, and lifelong public servant. I'm asking for your support to serve as our next District 4 Commissioner to reimagine our quality of life together. District 4 includes Stone Mountain, Tucker, Clarkston, Avondale Estates, and Pine Lake. We have not yet reached our greatest potential as a district and as a county. And so I'm running to reimagine our quality of life in economic development, public safety, and housing. District 4 is home to the beautiful Stone Mountain Park, our DeKalb County School District, and the most diverse square mile. But with all this beauty, District 4 is also home to over a dozen aesthetic stays where families are deciding whether to pay $350 a week or put food on their tables. District 4 is home to not so safe neighborhoods and not so thriving Memorial Drive and Rockbridge corridors. So we deserve an innovative, visionary leader with the energy to bring fresh ideas and to get the job done. So as I drive the Memorial Drive corridor, I'm inspired by great vision for DeKalb. I'm inspired to drive DeKalb forward, and I invite you to join the Caravan for Change and take this drive with me. As we join together, we will drive towards greater entrepreneurship, development, and employment creation. We'll drive through a diverse county with housing that attracts a broad range of residents as we provide and develop safer neighborhoods. Strengthening our county's public safety infrastructure can help us fight the increased crime levels that threaten our residents. So take this drive with me and let's engage our collective vision to reimagine DeKalb County together. I am Gabrielle Rogers, running to serve you as your next DeKalb County Commissioner, District 4. Thank you.
Thank you. Lance Hammonds, you will have 2 minutes to make your opening statement.
Thank you, Dan. And good evening, everyone. I'm Lance Hammonds. I'm the candidate for DeKalb County Commission District 4. And our campaign is all about putting DeKalb families first. Now, what does this mean? It means I will advocate for policies and initiatives that support the well-being, stability, and prosperity of families in our county. In areas such as job creation and economic development, I'm going to support policies that attract businesses and create job opportunities that offer family-sustaining wages and benefits. When we talk about safe neighborhoods, I'm going to prioritize public safety initiatives that ensure that our neighborhoods are safe places to live. And being safe is a feeling, not a statistic. Transportation infrastructure, I'm going to ensure that your streets are clean and resurfaced. I'm going to reduce the commute times that we suffer in our community, and I want to enhance the mobility of all the families here in DeKalb County. Now, we talk about the environment. I'm going to promote policies that protect the environment and natural resources for the benefit of current and future generation of families in DeKalb. And this is one I really am strong on: community engagement and empowerment. I'm going to encourage active participation of all DeKalb County families in their political and decision-making process of their government. I've been fighting for DeKalb families for many years as NAACP DeKalb president, as chair of the Rockbridge Coalition of Neighborhoods, as a community advocate fighting for a safer community and better schools. I look forward to spending more time with this group tonight to share with you in detail my plans for District 4. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. And Rita Scott, you have 2 minutes to make your opening statement.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Rita Scott. I live in DeKalb County. I have lived here in DeKalb County since 1976. Don't count the years, just the service. I literally am a servant leader. I serve Georgia on the Climate Power Board. What does that mean? That means jobs. I'm always interested in bringing jobs. I feel responsible to bring jobs to DeKalb County. I serve as the political director for the Communication Workers of America. Under the Communication Workers of America, I represent professors, I represent nurses, I represent doctors, I represent lawyers in certain areas. So I have a wide variety of what's important to all of our residents. My responsibility to District 4 is to serve you. I've been across the state, not only to hear what's important to the state, but across DeKalb County, as I've served on the MARTA Board of Directors since 2019. Unexpectedly, I was elected as the chair in 2020 and served through 2022. As the chair of the MARTA Board of Directors, I heard from all of our jurisdictions what's important. And transit is so important to DeKalb County. I have ideas that I've implemented in other jurisdictions that are so important to DeKalb for workforce development for our youth. It's time that we make sure that we serve our seniors, that we implement 911 service, and that we grow our police department where we are now less than 50% under. We're more than 50% under what we need to serve our community. I'm asking for your vote. My name is Rita Scott.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for your opening statements. For those of you watching us at home, When you see me put up my church finger, that means the candidates have 30 seconds left to wrap up their statement. So, just if you're wondering what that's about, that's our very sophisticated timekeeping system that we have at Decaturish. So we're going to start the questions with Gabrielle Rogers. Gabrielle, what are your thoughts on revitalizing Memorial Drive? You have 2 minutes.
Dan, I'm so thankful that you asked me that question. So part of my opening segment talked about the drive, riding through Memorial Drive, and the potential of us being able to have that quality of life. So under my economic development plan of revitalizing Memorial Drive, making sure that I support economic development for business owners that live in the district. Part of that plan is making sure that those businesses that have sustained us over the last 20 or 30 years have the same equity and support and resources to be able to thrive when we bring in the mixed use development and other business development to the district. I would also propose legislation that extends the benefits of opportunity zone extension within the drive by offering additional capital gain tax incentives to residents that invest in the communities in which they live as well. Qualified opportunity zones are also defined as economically distressed communities where private investments may be eligible for tax incentives. This shall also assist with circulating revenue throughout underserved communities and establish wealth for families in our district for Memorial Drive corridor. Thank you.
Thank you. Lance Hammonds, same question to you. What are your thoughts on revitalizing Memorial Drive? You have 2 minutes.
Yes, Dan, thank you for the question. It is taking too long. Memorial Drive has been in that state for just too long. When you look at it, we really have to invest. Now, when I say we, I mean DeKalb County has to invest in Memorial Drive. And when I say invest, we have to invest dollars in that area. We have to put together plans that actually attract investors to come and work in that area. I practice commercial real estate, and I look at that area. There is no way right now, the way it's set up, to attract businesses. The median incomes are low, so we've got to improve the median incomes in the area. But the key thing is we've got to invest in the area. I live near the Gwinnett County line, and I've seen how they've done some projects. One project is the one at the tennis center, where that county invested in their property. They made the incentives right, and they actually put something together. And we have other examples in the metro area that we can follow to revitalize Memorial Drive. But the key word is we have to be intentional. We have to work with the investors who want to come into the community. We're not going to give our community away, but we need to create a win-win situation. So at the end of the day, Memorial Drive does not look the way it looks right now. In 4 years, I want to be able to go back and say, this is what we've done on Memorial Drive. We're making a change. We're moving it forward. And the key thing is we've got to move it forward. We got to get off the dime and invest in Memorial Drive to make it different. Thank you.
Thank you. Rita Scott, same question to you. What are your thoughts on revitalizing Memorial Drive?
It's ironic because I agree with what has been said by my fellow candidates, and that is we must invest in Memorial Drive. Literally, before arriving home, I came down Memorial Drive, and I see some areas where they are removing parts of the ceiling that I can tell that they're getting ready. They're working on the roof, and they're looking at what business they can bring into the area. I visualize Memorial Drive as an investment for those that are looking for a place to work, live, and play. Now, it's ironic because on the south side of 285, you have a completely different vision of Memorial Drive as to what you see on I said south side, but let's call it the west side of Memorial Drive, and what we see on the east side of Memorial Drive. Recently, we talked about incorporating transit-oriented developments in the area. The very end of Memorial Drive, there is a bus, what they would call a hub there. And that's where those that are coming from Clarkston or Stone Mountain can literally take transit from there to other areas. We've got to develop that area so that the residents understand how important it is to create a work, live, play, and revitalize the complete area. DeKalb Housing has built a senior living center on the Covington Highway section near on the Covington Highway section near Memorial Drive at the Kensington train station. We've got to develop other entities on this side, on the east side of Memorial Drive, that will draw businesses and create equity for those residents as well. Investment, investment, investment.
Thank you. Shakira Johnson, same question to you. What are your thoughts on revitalizing Memorial Drive? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you for that. So I think on this issue, we're pretty much all going to agree. The revitalization of Memorial Drive is critical. It is a heartbeat not only of District 4, but of DeKalb County. This issue is in the heart of county. Pretty much all so we need to be
on the east side of Memorial
as was stated before. We need to be investing those dollars, finding incentives to bring developers. We need to revitalize the corridor, bring the mixed-use development, make sure that we're retaining our current businesses that are doing business on Memorial Drive so that we don't lose, the mom and pops that have kept Memorial Drive alive for all these years. We need to make sure we're also providing incentives for them. Memorial Drive, you can take that right almost directly into Stone Mountain Park. That can be such a great hub to one of the biggest tourist attractions in the state if done properly. So I think if we invest the dollars correctly, we get the type of development, the transit-oriented development, mixed use. We keep our mom and pop, but we can really make Memorial Drive something to be proud of. Like I hear it was 30, 40 years ago. We need to get back to that. We need to make it something that we can be proud of yet again.
Thank you. Lance Hammonds, we're going to start the next question with you.
Sure.
What should the county be doing to improve access to mental health care in DeKalb? You have 2 minutes.
Again, it's an investment. I know in the SPLOST program, there is a money in place to build a mental health facility, but we have to invest more in mental health workers. My wife is a counselor in the mental health area. She works with folks in the probation department. And I understand that a lot of the problems that we have in our community a lot of the problems stem from mental health issues. And a lot of the things that we see in the homeless community stem from mental health issues. So we have to spend more money. We have to put more professionals in place to service that population. And we have to identify people that need the help. So Memorial Drive is a great place to do that. We can build those type of things on Memorial Drive, and that can be the center of our community. If you need some services, mental health services, let's create a place that everybody knows where it is. It's easy to get to. It's on a bus line, and come there and get that help. And that could be a center for families to get a mental health care. You look at our jails, again, that's where a lot of the mental health takes place in our county. Unfortunately, but that's where it happens because they have the facility, they have the dollars to do it. But that should be an initiative that we expand in the county, in our public health department, that we expand that to cover those people and families that need that mental health care.
Thank you. Rita Scott, same question to you. What should the county be doing to improve access to mental health care in DeKalb? You have 2 minutes.
I agree that we need to create a system where our members and our residents know exactly how they can relate or communicate issues of mental health regarding family members, loved ones, to those that are in power, so they'll know where they can get help. I wish that it was a matter of just making a call and then it happens, but it doesn't. I actually have participated in forums throughout the country concerning mental health. I was excited to see that they created one number that one could call if you were in fear of committing suicide or have a loved one that you think may be committing suicide. So what we need to do is make sure that within our police department, for instance, that we have someone employed there that understands when they receive a call that a person may be suffering from mental health issues, as opposed to necessarily committing a crime that they cannot come back from. We must increase our mental health availability to the medical system, as well as our police department, our health department, and our hospitals that are always aware when they have someone that's suffering from a mental issue that comes into the location. So we've got to do more as a county to provide finances and services for those that are in need of support for mental health, including our children.
Thank you. Shakira Johnson, same question. What should the county be doing to improve mental health care access in DeKalb County? 2 minutes.
Thank you for that. Mental health is so critical in our community. My mom is actually a retired clinical psychologist. So mental health is something that has been acutely aware of for me personally and my family. So I think what has been spoken on about the investment, the county needs to be investing more into the programs that we have currently. I know we've started some programs with our police department where they do have some units that have those training for mental health. Because a lot of the calls that I think they do receive need more mental health response than it might be a criminal response. So making sure we are making those investments and training our employees, our police department specifically, to understand how to address those situations when they arise, and then making sure we have the infrastructure, the systems in place, the facilities in place to help our citizens with their mental health issues, make sure they have some place so that they can go to and call. And I do believe that is a big issue with our unhoused population that would help them as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Gabrielle Rogers, question to you. What can DeKalb County, what should the county be doing to improve access to mental health care?
Awesome. Thank you so much for that question. So I would say within the county and as a county commissioner, to allocate additional resources to the Department of Health and Human Services, because this county services plays a very critical role in addressing various social and public health needs within our community. So investing in those additional resources for health and human services will enhance access to our mental health support, health care, substance abuse treatment, and social services for the most vulnerable populations here in DeKalb County. It would also help with the systemic disparities and promote wellness and improve the overall residents over our quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the next topic, and we're going to start this question with Rita Scott. Rita, what is your opinion of the proposed Public Safety Training Center in DeKalb County, also known as Cop City? You have 2 minutes.
It's ironic that you would ask that because literally this week I have had many discussions on Cop City. And a couple of years ago, when interviewing other candidates for office in the Atlanta area, the conversation regarding Cop City was very forefront for those candidates on the city council, running for city council in Atlanta. And so I requested a documentation to substantiate the fact that the actual location is within DeKalb, but also in the city of Atlanta. And I received very mixed reviews after reading the documentation and reaching out to those that I know that live in the area. There were those that lived in the area that was excited about the change that they would see, such as the park that was being created, the living conditions that they felt that the actual area had been used. We talk about homeless. My understanding is that it was used for a lot of homeless people were literally staying in the area before it was removed, the wooded area. And so I had mixed feelings. I understand those that are concerned that there may be a place created, that there will be noise from training. But I also understand that we need a place somewhere so that those that are serving us in the police department, in the sheriff department, and the fire department, because it's also used for the fire department. So we didn't hear about Fire City. It is important that we listen to the residents, both mixed opinions, and determine what is best for the community. And we can only do that by hearing from both sides.
Thank you. Shakira Johnson, same question to you. What is your opinion of the proposed Public Safety Training Center, also known as Cop City?
Thank you. I've also heard, both sides of the argument. It's not, you don't have to go far to hear both sides of the argument. I am supportive of our police departments and training our officers. I think training for our officers will always be the best avenue to try and curtail some of the police shootings and violence against Black and brown bodies in America. But I also understand how those who are against it for the various reasons, whether the location, not maybe not knowing that it was coming, or is it tearing down too much of the forest land? So it is a complicated and complex issue. Um, Without knowing all the details of why that location was chosen, I'm not going to play, Monday quarterback on that issue, but I do support the idea and concept of having a location where we can train our officers. I wish that um, the location and the situation in general would not have been as contentious as it is, but I think it's important to hear both sides of the argument and see how we can come to an agreement on how to best move forward.
Thank you. Gabrielle Rogers, same question. What are your opinions about the Public Safety Training Center, also known as Cop City?
Thank you for that question. Well, I have heard, my apologies, both sides to the pros and cons of of Cop City. I will say that I do understand the importance of first responders, allowing or having a facility for them to have mental health services and other services for them to be able to be trained. But also, as an elected official, you have a duty to your community, to the district, to make informed decisions. And I will leave it at that.
Thank you. Lance Hammonds, same question. What is your opinion of the Public Safety Training Center, also known as Cop City?
That's a very interesting one. It's funny that we're talking about this because when I first talked to a few friends about running for office, I gave them an answer. They told me they didn't like it. But I'm not going to judge the city of Atlanta as far as their decision on that facility. But I did look at it and say, what would I have done differently if I had been sitting in that chair? Because being an elected official, you have to make some tough decisions, and not everybody's always going to be happy. But the thing that I thought about is that if they had had more transparent community engagement, then at least they could have gone back to say, okay, guys, we've talked about this ad nauseum. We made a decision. You may not like it, but everybody's had their chance to talk about it. And one of the things as a charter review commissioner, we looked at the powers of the commission. We decided as a group to enhance the powers of the commissioners to do more community engagement, do more ground level community organizing to make sure all of the citizens have a say in it. Also with this project, we should have had a very sound discussion about the environment. There's an issue with environmental equity. And being the past president of DeKalb County NAACP, we always have to look at where the inequities lie. And that should have been part of the conversation. I'm not saying that the decision would have been different, but we have to make sure that we investigate, we listen to the citizens. So when we make a decision, the citizens have been involved in that discussion, and when we make a call, we make the call for the best of the best of all the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we will start off with Shakira Johnson. Shakira, what kinds of investments should be made in public parks in this district? You have 2 minutes, excuse me.
Our public parks need a lot of investments. So I know with the rules and regulations of SPLOS 1, the SPLOS dollars were very limited on how they could be spent in the parks, where we could only do some maintenance to existing structures. And I believe with SPLOS 2, those rules have loosened up so that we can make our parks, we can get updated playground equipment for the children. We can put in new gazebos and pavilions and just really make our parks a showcase. You see that quite often in our neighboring county of Gwinnett County because their SPLOST dollars were allowed to go towards those type of things. So I'm interested and excited to be able to spend some SPLOST $2 and being able to actually beautify our parks and build new structures in our parks to make them places that we all want to go with our families and spend quality time and just make it a jewel of the county and of the district.
Thank you. Gabrielle Rogers, question is to you. What kinds of investments should be made in public parks in this district?
Thank you so much for that question. So I would say several key areas to enhance public recreation of public parks here for DeKalb County. Infrastructure improvements as upgrading rails, trails, playgrounds, and sports facilities on the playgrounds would enhance accessibility and enjoyment for our residents. Also, additional green space as well here, planting initiatives, and also making sure that we do restorative projects here in our parks. We have several restorative projects and cleanup projects that we have in our parks to make sure they're clean as well. In addition to expanding programming and amenities for diverse recreational activities here in DeKalb County. Thank you.
Thank you. Lance Hammonds, same question. What investments in parks should be made in this district?
Yeah, I grew up in California, and California's a big city. We've got great parks, but every neighborhood had a park that the kids could walk to. And we also had sidewalks. So, there's some extra work to be done there. When you look around the metro area, our parks in DeKalb County need more work. And I'm talking about how do you put families first? You give a family a place to go to enjoy the outdoor recreation and have a place to go to, that doesn't cost them anything, where they can just enjoy nature, run and exercise. I had an opportunity to visit Hairston Park, and I saw some of the improvements that the Friends of Hairston Park have made over there. The one thing that I would do is that all the parks in DeKalb County, again, we're going back to citizen engagement. As a county commissioner, I would make sure that every park in DeKalb had a Friends of the Parks organization. And we won't leave that to happenstance. We will help them organize, help them have places to meet, and help them develop plans how they can take care of their own parks in their own neighborhoods. We create pride in that particular park. And I would say if you have not been to Hairston Park, which, it's a beautiful park, and the Friends of that Parks group, they have done a phenomenal job bringing that park back, but there's still a lot of work to be done. So again, that's investment in those parks, in all of our parks, but also engaging the community in their parks. So we create a sense of pride. Hey, that's my park. We're going to do this. This is my park. Don't mess up my park. Fix my park. So when something goes wrong at their park, they come to the county commission meeting and they say, I need some more money for my park. We need people to be engaged in that process. Thank you.
Thank you. Rita Scott, same question. What investments in public parks should be made in this district?
It's ironic that he would mention Hairston Park because there has been lots of improvements in the area. I drive by it, depending whether I'm going the Memorial Driveway or the South Harrison Way. One thing in specific we need to do in the evening hours or as we near the evening hours is lighting. We've got to have impressive lighting in our parks. We need to make sure that pavilions are available, and to make sure, I agree with the Friends of Hairston Park. We also need to make sure we have programs through our parks facilities so that our parents understand that they can bring their children to the park for certain hours for certain programs during certain hours, especially during the summer. We need to make sure that we have security when necessary for events. And if those have scheduled events after it's over, we need to make sure that our parks and recreation personnel go back to make sure that everything that was there is in its place, all trash is picked up, and whatever else needs to be done to whomever actually secured the park for the event, that they left it in a clean and pleasing way. We need places for our children. We need to update the equipment. Equity is so important. Most of our parks in the area need to be updated. The equipment is older. We need to make sure that we secure. One of the very things that I noticed in visiting some of the parks that are off of Main Street is that there was not secure mileage when it came to the speed limit. So we need to make sure that we advertise in the area where the park is, that you're in a park area and you need to slow down. This was so important to the residents that I spoke to in the area.
Thank you. Gabrielle Rogers, we're going to start the next question with you. And the question is, what can and should be done to improve pedestrian infrastructure in this district? You have 2 minutes.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for that question. So as you know, District 4 is home to several different cities, and many of our cities do not have walkability or the environmental structure for them to have protection for our pedestrians. So being able to have walkable sidewalks, in addition to have street lights that they're able to see at nighttime as well for those protections. And there are some parts of our city or some parts of the district that have gotten that right. And other parts of the district needs a little bit more of the resources to make sure that they have those same protection for those pedestrians as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Lance Hammond, same question. What can and should be done to improve pedestrian infrastructure in this district?
Again, we need to start by asking the residents, what do they want? I know in some of the areas near the Rockbridge, South Deshaun area, there is no bus from that corner. You've got to people walk from that corner all the way down to the Wade Walker Park, about 2.5 miles to catch the bus. And so there's a worn path there, and it's uneven, and people, they're almost in the street. But what we can do is paths. If we can't build a sidewalk, can we put a path there where we can use it for bicycles and walking? Yeah, I know that some of the technology that's out there, it doesn't always have to be a sidewalk. And Shakira, being an engineer, she can probably tell you that, building a sidewalk is complicated, but building a path is less complicated. So are there other ways to build a safe pathway or a walkway or access from point A to point B for our citizens? Because I know a lot of areas people would love to do more walking, but sidewalks are difficult. Sidewalks are expensive. So let's look at, can we create more trails and paths in District 4 to do the same thing?
Thank you. Rita Scott, same question. What can be done to improve pedestrian infrastructure in this district?
I agree with the pathway. And specifically, where we live in District 4, we are home to, I can't begin to tell you, I could tell you, but I won't use that number, of how many seniors that have aged in place. And they would love to have the opportunity to walk their various neighborhoods and feel safe. And a lot of them do not do this because they do not have access to a walkable path. If you take the time to listen today on YouTube at the MARTA Board of Directors meeting, and it's on YouTube, so I can say it, we heard from a resident of DeKalb with the concern of where a bus stop is and being concerned about the fact that there is not a walkable path there. And so this is something we need to look at across the jurisdiction. Those that would like to use the main street or other side streets to walk on a daily basis, I've heard from them regarding exercise. I would like to be able to walk. I would like to be able to walk from this location to that location. I don't want to drive necessarily all the time. So let's make it a way, the same as we've done for some of our bikers that are using certain lanes, that they can make sure that they can ride their bikes to get to Stone Mountain in different areas. Let's create paths for those that would like to walk the neighborhoods, that they are accessible and convenient for them. I think it's a great idea that we invest our infrastructure dollars into those type of events, those type of programs for those that live in the area.
Thank you. Shakira, same question to you. Improving pedestrian infrastructure in your district, what should be done?
So again, sidewalks. We need to be investing in sidewalks, and Mr. Hammonds is correct. Building sidewalks is not always as easy as, oh, we want a sidewalk, let's do it. That it takes acquisition of right of way and infrastructure improvements and all the technical stuff. So look at the alternatives. Is a pathway more feasible? Maybe we can't feasibly get sidewalks on both sides of the road. We need to ensure when new developments are coming in that they are putting in that type of infrastructure. And then it makes it easier for the county to put dollars in to make those connections on where sidewalks are missing. So as like as we're talking about new development within the district, we can make sure that that development is in a walkable manner and that they are also including sidewalks and putting those investments into our community, especially to connect potential developments to the MARTA bus stops. We don't have trains in our district, but we have a lot of bus stops. So we need to make sure citizens can safely get to those bus stops as well as safely wait for the bus. So again, investment in dollars and sidewalks.
Great that you mentioned MARTA, because that is the topic of our next question, and we're going to start with Lance Hammonds. Lance, what's your opinion of MARTA's current footprint in DeKalb County, and are there changes you would make to expand or reduce MARTA's presence in DeKalb? You have 2 minutes.
Well, definitely in District 4, we don't want to reduce it because there are areas in District 4 that don't have a bus, that don't have a train, and that people have to walk or catch an Uber to connect. So we don't want to reduce the footprint. We need to expand the footprint of MARTA throughout DeKalb County. And the question is, how do we do that? Because where transportation goes, that spurs development. So we have to expand that. Now, how do we do it? You look at the municipalities that are around us. Most of them have invested in, another penny or half penny or quarter penny to expand their transit. So that's probably going to be a question that we have to ask the citizens of DeKalb. And I did work on the DeKalb Transit Master Plan, and they did lay out a lot of different scenarios of what could be. So as a commissioner, we're going to have to make that decision sooner rather than later, because there are other counties around the metro area that are making that decision now. That what do we want and what is it going to cost? But that's one of those areas that we have to engage the citizens of our community on what they want and how to get there. Because my plan is we have to enhance the mobility of citizens in DeKalb County. Like Rita was saying, our citizens are getting older. I would love to catch a bus or catch a whatever and not have to drive. So we have a lot of work to do in that transit area, but definitely we need to expand our transportation footprint in District 4.
Rita Scott, you probably have some thoughts about this issue. What is your opinion of MARTA's current footprint in DeKalb County, and are there changes you would make to expand or reduce MARTA's footprint in DeKalb County?
I have worked since being appointed on the MARTA board to expand MARTA's footprint in DeKalb County. We have at this time 2 transit hubs that are in plan for MARTA in DeKalb County, one at Stonecrest, one at South DeKalb. So we're looking to expand MARTA's footprint in DeKalb County. But I agree with Mr. Hammond. It's a lot more to it than I wish that I could say could be done. For instance, we have to deal with the DOT, and depending on what they will relinquish to DeKalb, that has a lot to do with how we expand our footprint. But as far as MARTA and transit goes, we need to improve transit. I'm working daily, every day at our MARTA meetings to make sure that our residents of DeKalb receive what they deserve in DeKalb County when it comes to transit. We need to expand beyond. He's correct that on Rockbridge Road, if you want to take transit on between Stone Mountain, Lithonia Road, there is no transit after you leave that area. But I've also heard from some residents that are concerned that with more transit, it will bring other things. I don't agree with that. I believe that no community will thrive without transit. And of course, those that are aging in place, I'm hearing from them, they don't necessarily want to drive to the grocery store. They don't want to drive to the doctor's appointment. They want to have access to transit. I think transit-oriented developments in DeKalb County is a need. And if we make sure that we expand transit in DeKalb County, then we will expand our residents' availability to transit.
Thank you. Shakira, same question to you.
Thank you. I believe that MARTA needs to expand in DeKalb County in District 4, but especially in DeKalb and South DeKalb. I'd like to see us look at some alternatives, light rail into South DeKalb, rapid transit might be another alternative to the heavy rail that we're used to, which is extremely expensive to construct. So I know from my house, it would take me probably at least a mile to get to the nearest, walking a mile to get to the nearest bus stop, and then a few miles to drive to get to Indian Creek Station. So I don't think we're probably going to get heavy rail in further out in District 4, but I think there are other alternatives that can be explored, and I would be in support of that.
Thank you. Gabrielle Rogers, same question about MARTA in DeKalb County.
Thank you for that question. Well, first, I do want to start by saying that I've listened to the concerns of our residents, and many of them who were here 30 and 40 and 20 years ago when those decisions in MARTA are being made. And many of the people who have been serving for those years made those decisions for them. And so I say that to say is that they're still frustrated. And so I do understand their concerns, and being able to find the pros of expanding MARTA really increase the options led to reduce traffic congestion that we have here in DeKalb County. Also improve our air quality, in addition to making sure that we have providing residents with convenient transportation to employment centers, education institutions, and healthcare facilities as well. So the accessibility of expanding MARTA can also stimulate economic development by attracting businesses and investment to areas. Now, how we expand it, what that looks like, because I think heavy rail was mentioned, and that's going to take years, and we probably won't see that. We will be long gone before that happens. So other alternatives for us to be able to be environmental friendly, but to make sure that we're able to also listen to the community and know exactly what we want, and also have the budget for that, because we have to be realistic as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We are at the halfway point of our forum. If you're just joining us, this is the Decaturish.com District 4 DeKalb County Commission Forum. Our candidates are Shakira Johnson, Gabrielle Rogers, Lance Hammonds, and Rita Scott. If you appreciate that we're giving you this opportunity to hear from these candidates, please visit supportyourlocalnews.com and make a contribution to our elections fundraiser or become a subscriber. So the next question, we're going to start with Rita Scott. Rita, and this is actually a question too that's in our comments, so it's good timing. How will you work with local cities to accomplish your goals? You have 2 minutes.
I believe that we need to create coalitions with our city members, our city mayors, our city residents, so that we can hear from them what's important. I've reached out to mayors of our various cities in DeKalb County and said, what's important to you? What are you hearing from your residents? What would you like to see? And what would your residents like to see? How can I be of support as the fourth commissioner for District 4? How can I support you? I believe that we need to create coalitions where that the residents that are in our various cities can communicate with the commissioners and allow them to listen to them, hear from them, and see what's important to the residents. That is how we serve our people, by listening to them, hearing from them, and implementing in any way we can what's important to them. I did the very same thing as the mother of 3 sons that went to school in DeKalb County, working throughout the school system to make sure that those students at that time in school had the things they need through the PTA. It may seem as if though that's the school system, but the PTA and the parents are the residents of the county. So it's very important that we hear from them as to what's important to our residents, our students, our seniors, our elected officials, and that is how we can create great coalitions throughout the district to make sure we serve the cities that we support.
Shakira, same question. You do have some experience as a city council member yourself. If you're elected, how will you work with cities to accomplish your goals as a commissioner? 2 minutes.
Thank you. That is a good question. So I do have firsthand experience with that. And I will say that overall, the county has gotten better at this than it had been when I first was on Stone Mountain City Council. But as the next commissioner, I would ensure that I'm having regular meetings with the mayors, mayor pro tems, or administration of each city to hear from them what they can pass on from their citizens and what's going on in their areas and how I can help make sure that I meet either myself or staff or someone is regularly attending some of these council meetings and community meetings, making sure we're being present, not just in unincorporated DeKalb County, but in incorporated DeKalb County as well. Our citizens, and that live in municipalities, they have extra layers of governance, but we still are responsible for them. They are still our responsibility, and it is extremely important that we do everything we can to foster communication and collaboration with our local municipalities so that we can all grow together, which is critical for supporting our citizens.
Thank you. Gabrielle Rogers, same question. How will you work to support cities, work with cities in DeKalb County to accomplish your goals if you are elected? 2 minutes.
Thank you. Well, already as a community advocate, thankfully, I've already built those relationships with my city leaders in several roles that I hold here in the community. There's an exhaustive list, so I won't name them all, but being able to work with them in the areas of economic development, public safety, and housing. But as a commissioner in DeKalb County, I will collaborate with the cities to make sure that we effectively have transparent needs with our residents and our city leaders. I will foster an open dialogue and spirit of cooperation. We can also identify common goals in areas where joint efforts can yield greater impact. This includes coordinated infrastructure projects and public safety initiatives, economic development strategies as well. And additionally, I will advocate for transparent and inclusive decision-making process that involves input for our city leaders and stakeholders and community members to ensure that. So I will already continue doing the work that I've been doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Lance Hammonds, same question to you. If you're elected, how will you work with cities in DeKalb to accomplish your goals?
First of all, just by listening and looking at what are the cities doing well, what is the county doing well. So we exchange ideas. We look at the growth that you've seen in the city of Brookhaven, Stonecrest, Chamblee, all those places. What are they doing well? And then I would take those good ideas and I'll bring that to our unincorporated parts of DeKalb, District 4, and implement those things. So how are they growing so fast? How did they make the change so fast? So let's sharing ideas. If you're doing something right, then we want to be a part of that, and we'll take that. But also, I have to be a strong voice for the folks who don't live in the city. A lot of people in District 4 are not in the city, so me as their commissioner, I am their voice. So again, we work with the cities, we find out what they do best. We support them with a lot of services. So the cities need the county to do those things. They get their water from the county, their sewer, all those important things are part of the services that the county provides for them. We need to continue to do that, but we also need to make sure that there is equity throughout the county, and there's equity in the provision of services through all the citizens of DeKalb County and District 4.
Thank you very much. Rita, did we give you that question? I'm getting my wires crossed a little bit. We did, didn't we?
Yes, you did.
Great. Okay, so starting off the top with Shakira again, and I want to direct everybody's attention to DecaturishVotes.com. It's where you can get all of your elections coverage about our area. And there was an op-ed today written by the Coalition for Diverse Decatur, DeKalb County, and it was a very thoughtful piece. I encourage everybody to read it, especially if you care about housing affordability, as we do here at Decaturish. But they had some very concrete policy suggestions, and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions now that are based on that op-ed. Shakira, starting with you, do you think DeKalb County should spend local money developing affordable housing? 2 minutes.
Yes, I do. I think it is a critical situation in DeKalb County, and I think it's at the top of minds of a lot of our voters. The issue with affordable and diverse housing, whether it is affordable or workforce housing, I think our citizens want to be able to work, live, and play in the county and in the district. And in order to do that, we would have to.
Hello?
Sorry about that. My dog is barking.
Oh, it happens.
In order to do that, we would have to invest in affordable housing as the county, whether that's initiatives and incentives for development to come into the county and provide that housing. It is critical that we take a role and a leadership role in bringing affordable and workforce housing to DeKalb County. I apologize for my dog.
You don't have to apologize. We all have things going on. Gabrielle
He's protecting
Rogers.
us from a squirrel.
That's right. I got a dog in my backyard. It's my neighbor's dog. It's been barking at me for 10 years. It thinks I was going to burglarize my own house. And to his credit, I have not burglarized my own house in 10 years. So he's doing a
They're
good
good for
job.
that.
They're good. Gabrielle Rogers, same question to you. Do you think DeKalb County should spend local money to create affordable housing? You have 2 minutes.
Yes, because I'm focused on helping the unhoused population as well, because we need to provide not only shelters of affordable housing and support services like the mental health care and job training as well. Working closely with our cities and community organizations is key. And by joining those forces with that additional funding, we can share resources and create effective solutions to address homelessness together. And additionally, we also should involve local businesses to create opportunities and prevent homelessness here in DeKalb. So together we can make a real difference in improving the lives of those in our district. And I'll also make it a priority with nonprofit organizations to provide additional of those services as well, to encourage private organizations to operate together to share those resources as well for the unhoused. Thank you.
Thank you. Lance Hammonds, same question. Do you support spending local money to develop affordable housing in DeKalb County?
The answer is absolutely positively yes. And I don't like the way we talk about or name the unhoused. Those are family members. Those are people that are part of somebody's family. So we need to take care of all the family members that live here in DeKalb County. And to the previous question you asked about how we work with cities, well, we look around to see what cities are doing. I just saw in the city of Atlanta they're using containers. They built a container village to have temporary housing for places for the homeless and people that need temporary housing. I think Memorial Drive would be a good place to have a facility like that the county invests in. That is a top of the line, world class housing facility for family members who are unhoused at the time. So we can take care of them, have the services there where they have a place to sleep, they can get their mail, they can make phone calls, they can clean up, they can kind of get their lives together. We have public health facilities, or people come in there to talk with them. So absolutely positively, yes, we need to take care of our unhoused family members in DeKalb County. And because they're family members, we need to invest dollars to bring our families back in the house.
I want to pause and say I appreciate that all of the candidates here are drawing that line between affordable housing and the unhoused and homeless population. That's kind of a piece that a lot of people don't talk about a whole lot, but I appreciate it. All the candidates here are. Rita Scott, same question to you. Do you think local money should be spent to develop affordable housing in DeKalb County?
Absolutely. And I agree with the term or the fact that we have so many that are unhoused. In fact, I work directly with the group within the police department. When I heard them discuss in a public meeting concern of asking those that rode MARTA on the train system consistently for hours at night without a place to go. And so I started to actually take MARTA cards to them so that they would have to asked the passenger to leave MARTA, and the passenger didn't have money to get back to where they were or to even continue. And so they were then found sleeping on the street. So I would take MARTA cards to this particular group of policemen who was responsible for this so that they could hand out those cards to those that were having issue with being housed. We absolutely need to make sure we spend our dollars in helping those that do not have a place to live. There are families, even I met a family that needed a place to live because they could not afford to pay the rent. And when they went to stay at United Way, they had a location there for families. And the issue was that if they had a son that was 14 years or older, they couldn't stay there if there were other women there. The same thing happens for women that are part of domestic abuse. They can't stay in a certain place if they have a son that's over 14 and there are girls there. So we need to do whatever we can. We need to make sure, especially for our seniors that are suffering for tax dollars, that they're paying more in their taxes than their mortgages were, to make sure that we support them and they are continued and have the ability to live in the homes they paid for in all these years.
Thank you. Gabrielle Rogers, next question. We're going to start with you. Do you support establishing a housing advisory board in DeKalb County that would guide the county's housing strategy? 2 minutes.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Lance Hammonds, same question. Do you support creating a housing advisory board in DeKalb County to guide the county's housing strategy?
I would say yes, if it's a board that has some authority. We have a lot of boards and committees that we appoint citizens to, and we just talk, and draw pictures, and nothing actually happens. So if a housing board has the commitment to do something with their recommendation by the Board of Commissioners, by the CEO's office, that would actually take that recommendation and do something with it, yes. If they're just going to meet and talk, no. So we have to put some boundaries about what that board is going to accomplish, because right now we have too many boards where we talk and do nothing.
Thank you. Rita Scott, same question. Do you support establishing a housing advisory board in DeKalb County to guide the county's housing strategy?
Absolutely, and to work directly with the housing authority to receive data to know specifically what area we need to invest in and where we are dormant as far as supporting affordable housing. So I believe that we need the data to determine where we need to articulate where the housing needs to be. And I agree that it needs to be a committee that has the authority and power to work together and to make changes in the county.
Thank you. Shakira, same question to you. Do you support establishing a housing advisory board in DeKalb County to guide the county's housing strategy? 2 minutes.
So I say possibly. I would like to see kind of what would be the details, what would be their scope, and what would they be doing, and would it overlap with the DeKalb Housing Authority? Is it something that would just help bridge the gap between the housing authority and the government? So with a little more detail, I think the answer would be yes, but it's kind of vague right now. So the answer is possibly.
Thank you. So
Thank you.
I'm going to take a moment of personal privilege here because I don't think the viewers know this. District 4 is my commission district. So I live here, and I'm an undecided voter. So I'm going to bring you a very specific neighborhood level question that all of my neighbors talk about, and that is McClendon Drive. It's a busy street. It's by the elementary school. It's a collector road. Apparently, speed bumps and tables are not something that we can do on this road. Absent that, what kinds of traffic calming would you like to see on McClendon, since it is going to be in your district if you're elected? Lance Hammonds, we'll start with you. 2 minutes. Don't have to go that long.
Yeah, that's one that I hear a lot. As chair of the Rockbridge Coalition of Neighborhoods, my own neighborhood, people are speeding up and down the roads, and we have that issue throughout District 4. I mean, it's not an uncommon concern to hear from neighbors about that. So, do you put in speed tables? Do you put in speed bumps? Do you put in signs? I'm on a safety committee in my neighborhood. And so the key to this thing is that we have to talk to the neighbors to find out what they want, and we have to implement that. And we don't need to make it too hard for neighbors to get this done. Right now if you want a calming table or whatever, you got to get all your neighbors to sign, and the county's got to do a traffic study and do all these different things. But I think yes, we don't need to bypass the technical details of it, but we also need to listen to the citizens to make sure that we come up with a solution that slows the traffic down where they're happy with it. So speed tables, signs, we don't have enough police to do that, but we do have to figure out a way to do it. And I think my way would be to talk to the neighbors and then be intentional with the county to say, don't just tell me we can't do it. Tell me how we can reduce the speeding in the area.
Thank you. Rita Scott, McClendon. You can't put speed tables on it. You can't put speed bumps on it. What could be done to make McClendon a safer street? 2 minutes.
Well, it has been proven that LED speed notification equipment will cause a driver to slow down. It may not solve that problem. I won't say it will, but I would like to see that as a start so that those that are aware, for instance, that they are doing 35 in a 25 zone, and as they increase their speed, it increases. A study has been proven to show that it has affected the speed of drivers. So I would like to see that first.
Okay. Shakira, same question. Speed bumps, speed tables are off the table on McClendon Drive. What would you do to calm traffic on McClendon Drive, absent those options?
Right. So I would assume that the traffic volume is too high, and that's why the speed tables or speed humps would be
It's a
off of.
collector road. Yeah.
Right, it's collector road, so it wouldn't be appropriate for that. But other measures that could be used that is kind of called like a road diet, where you can build curb bulb outs that kind of reduces the width of the road, and that will slow traffic down. There's a road in Tucker that has that. I can't think of the name of it. They also have, instead of like a actual roundabout, they kind of have these bulbs in the middle of concrete bulbs in the middle of like intersections that you are forced to slow down and go around. I think a collector road could handle some of those traffic calming situations. The speed signs are always a good one. But again, a traffic study is crucial to figure out with the volume of traffic, what other options are there. But in general, I do wish that citizens in DeKalb County will look at other options than just speed humps and speed tables. There are a lot of different traffic calming measures out there that could be utilized.
Gabrielle Rogers, same question. If you can't put speed bumps on a road because it's a collector road, what can you do? What can you do to make it a calmer street?
Thank you for that question. So, in an ideal world, I would say widening the lanes or signal timing. I think that was mentioned earlier, but also kind of helping with the signal timing, being able to help with pedestrian and car flow as well. In addition to enhancing the safety and providing sustainable transportation alternatives without having to drive down that street as well. But I do want to mention something as far as listening to the residents, but they also, as the residents look to the elected officials to have a solution. And so that is a big part of it as well, to go in with a plan as well as listen to those community members. Thank you.
Thank you. Rita Scott, we'll start this question with you. Dilapidated properties, big problem in DeKalb County. They're unsightly. Sometimes they attract squatters. It's been a problem in this neighborhood and a lot of other neighborhoods. Takes a long time to resolve. How will you work with DeKalb County officials to address dilapidated properties in our neighborhoods in District 4? You have 2 minutes.
We have got to increase our employees in code enforcement. I am hearing from many that have called in regards to dilapidated property and also squatters, that some of the issues that they have has to do with the fact that they've called code enforcement and they don't get a response. I personally know that there is a nursery school that my granddaughter, who's 3 years old, attend off of South Harrison and Redan Road. And as I went to Grandparents' Day at that school, I stopped to take pictures while standing on the property of the nursery school of what I could see that every student that would be on the playground could see. And the school said to me that they had created a committee to work with code enforcement and they were not able to get a response. We've got to improve the numbers of those employees at code enforcement so that we can make sure that's done. And then we've got to work with our state elected officials in DeKalb County to make sure that they communicate with the state. This came up at the end of the last session, and that is because squatters is under the state law. So we've got to make sure that the state law changes, and that we can work with those that represent us on the state level, our state senators, our state representatives, that they bring forth the issue of squatters and what we need to do within the state to make it illegal and to make sure it doesn't take the length of time that it takes to remove squatters. And especially we've got to enforce our code enforcement.
Thank you. Shakira, same question. What will you do if you are elected to work with county officials to address dilapidated properties in our neighborhoods? 2 minutes.
Thank you. So, of course, key is our code enforcement. Um, we need to ensure they have the staffing levels to address all the issues in the county. We are a large county, and it will take a lot of staff to make sure they can be as responsive as we would like them to be. Something we did in Stone Mountain was create a blight tax where properties that are a nuisance get taxed at a higher rate. It's worked well on at least one of the properties. The first property that we assessed it on had been a commercial property that had been dilapidated. When they saw that higher tax rate, they did what they needed to do to improve it, and they can recoup the money that the additional tax money when they show some improvements. So I think something like that, get a little creative on how can we make these property owners, many might be out of state, out of country, how do we get their attention to make sure that they are paying attention to the properties that are in our communities, that our children are looking at, that our families are looking at, and that is affecting our day-to-day well-being. So I think it's a two-pronged approach. Make sure we have policies in place, make sure we have the staffing levels to address it.
Thank you. Gabrielle Rogers, if you are elected as commissioner, how will you work with the county officials to address dilapidated properties in our neighborhoods?
Yeah, so I'll address the two parts of that question. But the first part of that is that I would explore innovative strategies such as property tax incentives, rehabilitation programs, and partnerships with community organizations to revitalize blighted areas and return properties to productive use. Additionally, I will also prioritize communication and coordination between county departments, elected officials, and community members to streamline efforts and leverage resources effectively. And also because by fostering the collaborative approach, we can work towards a transformational blighted property. But the last part of that is the squatters portion of that, and being able to, as a county commissioner, stop the disappropriated rise of squatters who criminally break into vacant rental properties, generate fake leasing documents, and change locks in DeKalb. DeKalb is a great place to live. So however, one cannot steal their way into residency. So we must honor the county and the state's housing laws and ordinances. Thank you.
Thank you. Lance Hammonds, if you are elected commissioner, how will you work with county officials to address dilapidated properties in our neighborhoods? 2 minutes.
First of all, we talk about code enforcement. There has been an increase in the number of code enforcement officers on the road. So the first thing I'd like to do is just have that department talk about what can they do better. What is it that they need? Because people are still not getting responses, and we do have more code enforcement officers. So is that office running as efficiently as it can? So we don't want to throw good money after bad. So let's just understand what the problem is. And then second of all, if their house is dilapidated, now if it's owned by an investor or a commercial property, that's one thing. But if that property is owned by a homeowner, a person that actually lives there, a resident, then we need to have a discussion with them. And how can we help you stay in your home? How can we help you renovate your housing? So that's one of the answers to affordable housing. Because if that person loses their house, that investor is going to buy that house and the rent's going to go sky high. So we're better off helping to keep that person in that house than pushing them out. So it's kind of a mixed bag. We do have to take care of that stuff, but we have to take it another level to understand who's in that property and what is it that they're not doing. I mean, it could be a case of mental health. I've seen houses in my own neighborhood when people get stricken with mental health issues and they're by themselves, they don't cut the grass, they don't maintain the houses. So it's not an easy answer, but I would start with our code enforcement office to understand what is that they need to do a better job to do their part in this process.
Thank you. And we've got time for one more question, and then we're going to roll into our closing statements. And I am going to start with, who did I start with last time? Was it Rita? I think so. Yeah. I'm going to start with Shakira. Shakira, county funds a lot of constitutional offices, like the sheriff's office, which runs the jail. If you're elected, what is going to be your approach to constitutional offices? Are you going to scrutinize those budgets and provide some level of oversight of what they do? 2 minutes.
So, when it comes to those type of constitutional offices, especially the sheriff's office, where you have, another elected entity running that department, I think it's critical that we come together, we have a conversation. Yes, I'd like to scrutinize the budget and look over all the documentation, also sit down and have a conversation, get a tour of the jail. I did a tour of the jail in my leadership DeKalb class. So before making any decisions, I'd like to have as much information as possible. I'd have sit down meetings with the top, administrators for those departments and offices to make sure that we can make a collaborative decision that will be beneficial for their departments as well as beneficial for county. So I think it would be a collaborative effort. I would never want to just come in and just, wave the magic wand and think I know better than anybody. I would listen to the people who are in charge and, you know, make an informed decision if one is to be made.
Thank you. Gabrielle Rogers, same question, but I'll make it shorter. What's going to be your approach to oversight of constitutional offices in DeKalb County? 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you for that question. So, as a community leader, I've worked with them on many different levels when it comes to community needs and outreach. So, I understand the needs, but I also understand that they are constitutional officers, which means that they have their spaces to run their departments or their agencies. So, with that being said, I will continue that relationship to make sure that we are collaborative and make sure that they are. I am needed when I am needed, and also do a tour as well. I've been in the jail many times for good things, though. Jail for programs that we do for organizations. I want to make that very clear. But I say all that to say is keeping that same relationship that I have had with them before, and to make sure that they feel supported and needed as with the county commissioner. Thank you.
Appreciate that clarification. I'd probably need to make that one too.
Yes.
Lance Hammonds, same question to you. What will be, if you're elected commissioner, what will be your approach to oversight of constitutionally elected offices funded by the county? 2 minutes.
Well, those constitutional offices, they their money doesn't just appear out of nowhere. They present a budget to the county, and that is part of the budgeting process. So the sheriff does present a budget to the CEO, and everything rolls up. So we as commissioners will see that budget. So if that money is coming from the citizens and it's in a budget that we as commissioners have to approve, then we're going to scrutinize it at that level. I'm not saying that I think the sheriff is doing a fine job over there. I've toured the jail, and it is a tough job. It is a tough job. And yes, I would look at every line on our budget that comes before me as a commissioner, and that would include the constitutional offices, because that money belongs to the citizens of DeKalb County. It doesn't come out of, there's no magic place where this money comes from. It all comes from the citizens.
Thank you. Rita Scott, if you were elected as commissioner, what will be your approach to oversight of constitutional offices in DeKalb County?
I agree that we are the ones that approve the budget presented to us by the constitutional officers. I would like to know specifically where the money is spent, how it's spent, and why there are any deficits that we need to address. It's very important because they are constitutional officers, but they are voted into office. And so we have a responsibility to the residents and the voters to make sure that those that they have voted into office are actually serving the people. And so we need to keep a very close eye on the budget, make sure that every dime is spent to serve those that are under their leadership, those that are in their power, and that the money is spent where it should be spent so that we can justify. I literally have not toured the DeKalb County Jail in quite a while, but I have been very involved in some of the things that's going on with the jail system, period. And especially even we hear in Fulton County what's going on. And so we've got to make sure that those that, when it's time for those that are there over the length of time they should have been at a trial or had a hearing, we need to find out where the problem is that this hasn't happened so that we can avoid the amount of people, the amount of those there that shouldn't be there, that should have had an opportunity to either have had a trial or been heard. So we need to oversee and make sure that the budget and the funds that we allocate is being used to the best of the ability of those that are in power over the constitutional locations.
And that is our last question of the forum. We are out of time. We're going to wrap up with our closing statements, and we're going to give each candidate 2 minutes to do that. And we're going to start with Rita Scott. You have 2 minutes to make your closing statement.
Well, good evening, everyone. And I want to say I appreciate the fact that you're here listening and taking the time to make sure that your vote is deserved by the candidate that you decide to vote for. In District 4, it is very important that we make sure that we create an environment that's safe for our residents, that we also create an environment that will bring funding into our district. We're growing. We're absolutely growing in the area. And so I believe that we need to make sure that in our growing, that we create an environment that's, I'm hesitating because I have in mind that we need to make sure we don't have a convention center in DeKalb County. And my vision would be, why not in the area of District 4? Why not Memorial Drive? What type of funding would that bring to the area? It has been proposed that we need to grow. And so if we're going to grow, we need to have the availability. We don't have a location to have sports events in DeKalb County, in District 4. We need to bring those things in. We need to make sure that we incorporate a workforce development. Sitting on the Climate Power Board, I've listened to how jobs are being grown in areas where we're now seeing building of electric vehicles, electric batteries, and the other things that we need to grow and make sure that we have a safer and a more environmentally safe climate. So I would like to see in the area that we support workforce development to grow jobs in DeKalb, help educate our youth, and also make sure that our seniors that are aging in place are safe. And I am here to serve you. I've been throughout the county. I've heard the needs of those, and I would like to implement that. I'd like to serve you. In my career, I am a servant leader, and I'm waiting to serve you in DeKalb County District 4 as your newest commissioner.
Thank you. Lance Hammonds, 2 minutes to make your closing statement.
Thank you, Dan, and Decaturish for putting on this forum, and I'd like to thank my other candidates for a good discussion on issues around DeKalb County. And I think this is what community engagement looks like, where we have a dialogue with people and they get the information and make wise decisions. This election, more than most, experience is going to matter. Having a candidate that has been a leader in the community, that has been advocating for years, who knows the ins and outs of getting things done around DeKalb County. And I have a real sense of the capabilities of the commission, what it has been, what it could be. And I've engaged with the citizens of District 4 and DeKalb County. And it's going to be really vital that we have somebody that has that background in the community. No other candidate has a resume of community activism and service that I do. I've been fighting for DeKalb County families as NAACP DeKalb president, as chair of the Rockbridge Coalition of Communities. I've recently served on the Charter Review Commission, where we actually finished that project and presented those recommendations to the officials to make a decision. I will continue to fight for you to bring jobs to our community, revitalize Memorial Drive, ensure our community is a safe place for families to live, continue keeping our streets clean and resurfaced, and preserve the environment for current and future generations. I'm asking for your vote, your prayers, your donations to continue to fight for you and our families. To learn more about our campaign and to join the fight to put DeKalb families first, go to my website, standwithlance.com. Learn more about our campaign, join the effort, um, and make sure that you check Lance Hammonds on May 21st as your next commissioner. Thank you and be blessed.
Thank you. Gabrielle Rogers, 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank the Decaturish and the community for the opportunity to share my vision and platform for District 4. As stated in my opening remarks, we, District 4, deserve an innovative, visionary leader who has the energy to bring fresh ideas and get the job done. You've been informed about the quality of my service and commitment to our county in the areas of economic development, public safety, and housing. Collectively, these issues and experiences have framed my capacity to recognize our issues and implement strategies to address them. Considering the current demographics of our district, my experiences have positioned me as the most qualified candidates to serve as our District 4 Commissioner. On Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, I humbly ask for your vote to reimagine opportunities in our community. I again invite you to take on this drive with me and let us engage our collective vision as we reimagine DeKalb County by showing all of Georgia and even the world, if it lives and breathes, it can be found here in DeKalb County. Together, we will demonstrate that it only takes drive to realize positive change. To join Team Rogers today by donating or volunteering, please go to Elect Rogers for DeKalb 4. Follow us on Facebook, Gabrielle Rogers for DeKalb, Instagram Rogers for DeKalb. Again, I'm Gabrielle Rogers, and I'm ready to serve you as your next DeKalb County District 4 Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Shakira Johnson, 2 minutes to make your closing statement.
Well, first off, I really do want to thank you, Dan, for having this forum for us tonight. It's important that our citizens have the opportunity to hear from their candidates. And I would like to thank my fellow candidates for having a professional forum tonight. It is appreciated. I'm Shakira Johnson, running for DeKalb County District 4, running to be your next county commissioner because I care about our community, because I am a public servant at heart. I know together we can engineer progress for DeKalb and specifically for District 4. We can tackle the affordable housing and workforce development shortfalls throughout our community to ensure that people who work in DeKalb can afford to also live in DeKalb County. We can support unhoused community and find ways for them to get back into housing structures. Another huge important piece to me as an engineer is our infrastructure. You know, we have failing infrastructure. We had a huge water main break recently that needs to, these issues need to be addressed. We need to make sure that we have people in place in leadership who know how to make these changes and understand the importance of making sure we're adhering to our consent decrees, making sure we can be collaborative with our local cities and with the state legislature and all the community organizations that make up our great city. So again, I'm Shakira Johnson. I've lived in DeKalb County for over 20 years. I'm excited for the opportunity to be your next DeKalb County Commission for District 4. If you'd like to learn more about me, please visit my website, shakira4commissioner.com. That's the number 4. I look forward to reaching out and talking to everyone in the community and having your vote on May 21st. Thank you so much.
Thank all of you. What a great and informative forum. I appreciate, especially as one of the candidates just mentioned, how respectful and thoughtful the whole discussion was. I know our viewers appreciated it as well. So if you're just tuning in, this is the end of the District 4 DeKalb County Commission Forum presented by Decaturish.com. We've been streaming it on Twitch. If you don't know what that is, ask your nephew. And on Facebook, if you don't know what that is, ask your mother-in-law. And we are streaming it live. You can find those videos there. We're going to upload it to YouTube later because we weren't smart enough to figure out how to stream it to YouTube simultaneously. Maybe we'll figure that out for the next one. We got some more forums coming up next week. You can find all of that information at DecaturishVotes.com is where you can find all of our election coverage, all the great stuff that our team is doing. And if you want to support that team and support local news, please visit supportyourlocalnews.com. This is a public service. We enjoy doing this. It's not free. We've got a team that needs your help to continue doing what they do. So again, please visit supportyourlocalnews.com and make a donation or a contribution to Decaturish today. It helps us to keep doing all of the great things that we're doing here. And with that, I'm going to say goodnight to everyone, and we will see everyone next week at our next forum. For more details on that, visit DecaturishVotes.com. Good night, everyone.
Good night.